Yeah, I think here we're talking about how do we institutionalize, business changes, and how do we ensure that all the consumers of the architecture understand what we have been talking about. So I think one good template that we can actually look at is an architecture decisions record, as I call it, which helps you capture what are the significant decisions that were made in the design architecture process, and so that the rest of the team can be updated on that. And this is also like a ready reckoner, like 6 months down the line, 1 year down the line, if you actually want to see why did you take a decision from going from MongoDB to traditional databases or things like that. You can actually have those things done. So you can actually typically pretty much have this kind of format. Basically, what is the issue in which you were required to do this particular change, and what is the decision that forced you to go this route, and what is the status of it typically, which is the group that actually brought out this request. Is it coming from the user group? Is it from the integration group? Is it from the presentation group that actually brought this out? And what are the assumptions that you are clearly stating? Okay, we are going to, negate this data from the database, or we're going to depersonalize this data, but that record actually might be there in the database, but except that it will not be searchable. So you have to put those kind of assumptions here. So how exactly are you going to be, doing what you're doing? Then what are the constraints to do this feature? There is probably an upper limit on the CPU, IO, memory, or there is a technology constraint that this can be done only in using NoSQL databases or big data scenarios or whatever. So you can actually put that there. Then what are the different positions that people have taken on this when you advocate this decision? What are the different alternatives that you actually considered? You can actually put that there. Then what is the argument in terms of your cost, time to market, availability? So how do you take a stand that we are going to take this route because it's cheaper, or it is technically feasible, or architecturally important? That you can actually put that point there. Then the other point is you can actually look at what are the implications of doing this. What is the impact on other architectural features, technology features, business decisions, any other related decisions that you want to document, related requirements that are going to be impacted because of this? What are the artifacts that will change, like in terms of your code, database, applications, schemas, whatever that you want to put here, you can actually put that. What are the related principles in terms of your architecture that you might impact by doing this? And also some notes about, okay, Ram said this, or Mark said this, or somebody else said these things. You can actually put that. That is the way you can actually. This is one of the sample templates. There, I'll just share you a lot of other templates which can be. This is very exhaustive. There are shorter versions of this. You can actually look at that. And then this is typically the flowchart which tells you, how you can actually trace back your architecture decisions and how do you assign it to people. So you identify that there is a requirement that has come. So you assign an owner, then you propose change for that thing. Owner organizes a team and says that whether should we accept this decision or not accept it. He assigns it to people that either it goes into the accepted state or superseded state, or plain simple saying that we're not going to accept this based on the decision tree that we do, saying that it is not worth considering it as a decision record. So you can actually go with this kind of a template, which would, this is one of the samples. There are many actually, but this one is quite exhaustive, as you saw, which captures a lot of detail in terms of these things. And the advantage of doing this is it's there for posterity, because if you are actually having people who are going to come and join your organization and leave after 6 months, 1 year, or somebody new joins after 2-3 years, he needs to know what's happening on the system. And it's a quick read even for an executive person or a VP or a director. that, okay, why did we do this change? What is the implication cost and all that sort of stuff? So this becomes like a generic memo that can be sent to people, and they can be updated. So the only thing I don't see much here is probably some business decisions. So this is more from an architecture point. You can add one or two other templates and say, okay, this is from a business related point. You can actually do this.
Okay. And if so one more thing, if I want to have, so on, because of this architectural decisions, there will be certain outcomes, right? I mean, as we said, and think that this architectural decision has been completed, and now we want to have a small summarization out of this particular decision templates,
Yeah,
like
in fact, this itself is the one-page report of what you want to change. If you want to further
okay.
summarize, you can say
Mhm.
final decision taken this, stated this, impact, cost, business impact, technology impact. That's it. Maybe just make, because this is the most crystallized form of the information.
Mm,
But if you want to
mm,
further summarize and make it even more short, there are other templates which are, I think somebody has put that in the comment also. So if you see this here, so rather complicated. I prefer a simple design decision story. So this guy is one of the thought leaders of Archimate. He
mm,
says, in the context of this business thing, we decided to do this and not have these alternatives to get the following benefits and accepting the following drawbacks, disadvantages. We will revisit this under these circumstances. So, this is also one more, way of making it very, very short.
mm.
And this is another way in which it can be made very short. So that is another thing. But this one is good too for people. But even his stuff also captures everything: alternatives, benefits, drawbacks, all of that sort of stuff. So which is actually quite good. What is that you're asking for? So it can be either this long in detail. This is good for your architecture team to preserve it because it talks about which principles will be affected, which artifacts and all. But as you said, the higher ups may not be interested in what are the dependencies, the applications impacted in other things. They might be only interested in this. So you can actually go with the shorter version.
Okay.
But you, from an architectural team point of view, you go and store all of these things.
Mhm.
Or in your repository, SharePoint, you can store all of these things. But from a consumption point of view to the end user business audience, you can just send this.
Okay. Okay. Uh, so, okay, this can be used as both like a memo and also summary of a project.
Yes,
And for any project, it need not be a big architectural change. It can be a tiny
it could be a
new
business
feature
change.
also, right?
Yes,
A
we
new
just
feature
have to
also.
modify it slightly so that it fits into the realm of a business change also, like not just architectural.
Mm, okay. Positions, okay, agreement, implications. So I can say, I mean, what is the implication? What is the assumptions is one. What is the implications can be a good pointer. And what are the related principles if the enterprise has agreed upon? Okay,
Because
what are related
related
principles?
principles,
Yeah.
artifacts, related requirements, and related decisions. These things can be of much more importance to the design team or the engineering team. But if you're
Mhm.
sending it out to business users or your higher ups on internally, externally on the customer side, then you don't need to go in this level of detail. You don't have to talk about, okay, which are the dependent applications, dependent architecture principles. All of that
Mm,
doesn't have to be there. So you can actually just abstract it to these things and show only whatever is required. So that might be a good thing.
okay. So, okay. Uh, with the example, if we try to fit the example whatever gave, for example, have to anonymize a certain user. from
Yeah,
our
let us say that
database.
you are trying to anonymize a user in the database so that
Mhm.
that is a request that has come.
Yeah.
So let us say that is the issue. Issue is anonymization or depersonalization of the thing.
Mhm.
Decision
Mhm.
is obviously this has to be supported because it's a customer requirement which talks about data privacy and data secrecy and data integrity of the system. So in view of this, we are trying to go ahead with this thing. Status is we accept this, of course. It is clearly we need
Mhm.
to, because it's a customer request, we want to do this. And the group from which it has come is probably the user group or the customer or the business users who come with this. We feel it is very much required, so we do that. Assumptions are that we will this data will be depersonalized for um, things which have clearly an indication to say what kind of data will be changed in the database. It could be first name, last name,
Mhm.
address,
Mhm.
and things like that. But we will not touch other details like perhaps amount or those kind of fields typically, because encryption and decryption will become more expensive and it might be longer
Yeah.
to do that. So it will be a one-way hash on the database. So we will actually be using a one-way hash algorithm, and we'll use a third party or whatever, you can actually mention
Mhm.
that. Constraints is, as you said, not all the data will be depersonalized. Only whatever is selected and business priority, those will be done. And positions is how many said for this, how many said to this, and what are the different positions. Somebody say we use Oracle Vault for doing this.
Mhm.
Vault is a good solution to depersonalize the thing, or Oracle depersonalization algorithms, but they're expensive. They come at a cost. They come with some additional licensing revenue. Instead of that, we'll go with a one-way hash and ensure that hashing algorithm is internal to the company, and we are not exposing that anywhere. That you should mention that part. Argument is okay when you're having taking this memo out for general review. You can actually see who said for this, who said against it, and just note down the significant arguments that were raised when we actually
Mhm.
do this. If somebody cracks the one-way hash algorithm, then there is your secret is out in the open that they can really figure out who are the depersonalized people. Implications of doing this, what level of data changes, is there any performance impact, is there any security impact, is there any overhead in terms of data storage requirements, encryption on the wire, all of those kind of things. The related decisions is maybe the app, there should be a encrypt and decrypt algorithm that needs to be written on the front end and probably the business layers,
Mhm.
so that when this happens, you need to reverse decrypt it and present it to the UI layer, those kind of things. So impacted uh, business analytics, dashboard, and all have to be refactored. And related requirements, you can say what are the other related requirements that came along with this, so that you have to change the UI UX to or now to accommodate the new data. Related artifacts is how many applications are going to be changed, how many executables are going to be changed, all of that sort of stuff. Related principles is like what are the architecture principles that you considered when you actually did this change. You can actually put that, and notes is anything else that you want to actually enter as the notes for this architecture change in terms of discussions, or that you are not able to capture in the above points. You can put that. If there is nothing, you can leave it blank.
Mhm.
So you can suggest
Okay.
this. This template is for the internal audience, like completely architecture team,
Technical.
teams and technical teams, business team.
Mhm.
But when you're sending out something like something crispier,
Mhm.
short and concise would be good, which is what you see here. So this would be, more
Mhm.
what is required, because people don't have time to go through all of them. You just need to have a snapshot, and this might be actually good.
Okay. Noted. Okay.